Well, hello there, everyone. How are you doing today? It is Terrific Tuesday. It's January the 2nd, year 2023. Hopefully you're doing outstanding. So, have you thought about what your goals are for 2024? Hopefully so. Have you calculated your net worth in 2023? You should. You should calculate your net worth at least quarterly, at a very bare minimum annually. Hopefully you can do it monthly. It's easy to do, simple. Add up your assets, add up your liabilities, subtract liabilities from assets, boom, that's your net worth. Many Americans are in the negative. Where are you? So anyway, I'm going to talk about a topic today that I hope I can get some feedback on, okay? Because a lot of you watching this channel are Americans, or in the US, maybe Canada, maybe you're elsewhere in the world. But I hope, even if you're elsewhere in the world, I hope to get some feedback from you. And you can put it in any language. I can always, but if you put it in a different language, say I look at my stats sometimes, I do have viewers sometimes from other countries. If you're in a different country, please let me know what language it is, in case I need to find a translator or something like that, okay, to read it, okay? Even though I think YouTube might just automatically show me a translation, I think, if you do that. But anyway, with that being said, I'm Mazske Finance. I'm not a financial advisor, I'm not a CPA, I'm not an attorney. I am not a doctor, I'm not a nutritionist. I want to talk a little bit today about the country of Panama and the United States of America. Living in Panama as an American. I lived in the United States. Now, there's a little caveat there. I did come to the country of Panama as a 20-year-old. I was in the Navy. I spent, about almost 2.5 years here, okay, as a young guy. So I became familiar with the country back then, even though it's changed a lot now, just like the United States has changed in the time period since then. Okay? So I won't compare and contrast. And I've also lived on the island of Puerto Rico for 3 years. And in the United States of America, I was born and raised in Maryland. Lived there until I joined the Navy. I lived there until I was 19 years old. Joined the Navy at age 19 and a half, roughly. Okay? I spent a year in Illinois, Great Lakes, Illinois, north of Chicago. I spent 4 months in Denver, Colorado. I then went to Panama 2.5 years, 3 years in Puerto Rico. While I was in Puerto Rico, I went TAD, temporary duty, to a school in Norfolk, Virginia for 4 months. And then after my 3-year tour in Puerto Rico, I went up to the state of Maine. Coastline up near Campbell Island, Canada, 15-20 minutes from Lubec. Lubec is the most eastern point in the U.S. So I was pretty close to the most eastern point in the USA. Okay, I've been to the state of California, I've been to the state of Texas, I've lived in Florida, I've lived in Shenandoah Valley in Virginia, I've driven twice from the East Coast to Colorado. I've been in pretty much every state from Florida to Maine. And I've been in a variety of different states. I visited the country of Peru. I spent just a week in Peru, okay? Where else? I don't know where else I've been. All right, so with that being said, a little bit about Panama, and I did write some stuff down. I mentioned I very seldom write stuff down, but I did write some stuff down just so I don't forget it. I already have my cup of green tea, so I'm drinking water right now. All right, a little bit about the country of Panama. It's a tropical country. It's not that far north of the equator, okay? That means the daylight hours are fairly consistent. They fluctuate just a bit. I think in the course of a year, if sunset is at 6:30 p.m., the earliest it'll be is around 6 p.m. I think it fluctuates approximately 30 minutes, plus or minus, okay? So it's consistent. You don't change we're on Eastern Standard Time for the U.S. Same time right now as it is in the East Coast of the United States right now in January, okay? They don't change their clocks in Panama. It stays this time year-round. Sunset, it always, if you like, say, growing up on the East Coast in Maryland or even in Virginia in the summertime, there's times it didn't get dark till 9 p.m. You'll never see that in Panama. Living in Maine, there's times I think the sun came up at 4 a.m. You'll never see that in Panama. It's consistent, okay? It's tropical. It also, that means the weather is tropical. However, Florida is hotter than Panama is. The sun and I was in Cape Coral, Florida, southwest Florida. It's hotter there. The sun is brighter there than it is in Panama. And Cape Coral, Southwest Florida, is cooler than places like Orlando and stuff like that in Florida. It's cooler than the state of Maryland was or the Shenandoah Valley was in the summertime. It never hits 100 degrees where I was at. But it does get a little chilly sometimes in January and February, just for a very short couple of day period, okay? So anyway, with Panama, it never snows. I don't think anywhere in the country gets below freezing. There are mountains here, okay? So in the mountains, it does get cooler. I have spent a lot of time around Panama City. I was stationed around there. I currently live in Coronado, Panama. It's a beach community. It's an expat community. When I say expat, it doesn't mean it's full of Americans. There are Americans here, but there's more, I believe, from my perspective, I think there's more Canadians than there are Americans. There's a lot of South Africans, there's Germans, there's French, there's Colombians, there's Panamanians, there's Russians. I've met several different folks from Russia. Where else? I've met some other folks from other countries. China, there's a lot of Chinese people here. And so on. There's other countries here too. Panama is known as the melting pot of the world. Okay? All right. As I mentioned, I live in a beach community. There are lots of beaches in Panama. There are lots of mountains in Panama. There are big cities in Panama. Panama City is the largest. It's 3 million people, 6 million people. It's big. Panama City is a modern city, rivaling any city in the world almost, not being the biggest by any means, stretch of the means, but it's a big city. It has everything you could want from a big city. Okay, plus some great views. If you're in a condo high up, you get some ocean views and city nightlife views. It's pretty. Okay, but there's a lot of traffic too. It's congestion, very bad. All right. You also have small towns. In small towns in Panama, Coronado is known to be one of the more expensive areas. Boquete is also known to be an expensive area. Boquete is an expat community up near Costa Rica. Due to expats, prices are higher. Okay. Coronado is a beach community. It's gated. I'm near Gorgona. Gorgona is not gated. You got Chame, you got Rio Mar, you got Ensenada, you got San Carlos. They are not gated. There might be selected gated neighborhoods, but Coronado is a gated city. Okay, so it's controlled somewhat. Okay, which does keep it just a little bit cleaner than other places because it's controlled. Okay. I've been somewhat familiar with a smaller community in Panama, a town called Panama. I've spent a little bit of time around there, but it's grown a lot over the years. I'm not sure what the population is now, but it's probably 100,000 people. Maybe. I could be totally wrong there, though. I didn't Google it. All right. You got other quaint mountain communities. You got a place called El Valle, but the roads getting there are really, really bad. Lots of potholes, okay? But it's beautiful up in there. It's beautiful. Once you get in there, if you live there, you got a grocery store, you got restaurants, you got a nice market, so on and so on, okay? And you got other communities. I can't name them all. You got Pedasí, Chiriquí, Las Tablas, La Guardarrey, Santa Fe, Dogada, Boquete, Volcan, Chiriquí in general. There's just different communities all over. There are various budgets. Depending on depends on your budget. I'm paying $2,000 a month to rent my house. Okay, I'm paying an extra $200 for the gardener and the pool guy. All right. I watched a video last night on Panama Relocation Tours with Bob. The title says he's renting for $325. I think he said in the video he's renting for $350. I could be wrong on that though. But he lives up in Chitre. He's renting a small house for, let's just say $350 or $325. Okay, he said he pays $20 for electricity. That's pretty cheap, right? That's cheap. He in Chitre, I've been around Chitre. He's not that far from an ocean. It might be a half-hour drive, 40-minute drive. Maybe, I can't remember. I've never lived in Chitre, but I think that's what it is. So anyway, you got houses for $300 some a month. You got houses for $2,000. You got houses for $3,000. You got condos you can rent for $1,000, $1,200, $1,500. You got houses you can rent for $800, $700. All budgets in there. But by and large, if you got a high mortgage in the USA or somewhere else and you're paying $3,000 plus a month, you could probably find something nicer, perhaps, for less here. Okay? Now, the natural beauty of this country, I don't know if it could be rivaled. Or, I don't know if you can find it elsewhere. There are so many different kinds of trees here. There's so many different kinds of birds here. But there's less animals than there used to be. The population's grown. They die off. They get killed off. Okay? You do have poisonous snakes here. You do have iguanas here. You do have little lizards, little geckos. You got sloths. I haven't seen any on this trip, but you got cootamundis, as we used to call them. They're in the raccoon family. You got squirrels here. I've seen squirrels. Lots of birds. I see, even living here, I see a fair amount of birds here. I hear birds singing all the time. Parrots in the parrot family. I haven't seen the absolutely striking, beautiful type parrot here yet, but I've seen some very pretty green parakeets type birds. Okay, very pretty. All right. Now, with that being said, here's some negatives. Okay, think about wherever you live in the United States or Canada. I know it's getting a little long, but try to bear with me. Think about where you live. The positives, do you have any of those positives? Can you tell me a place in the USA or another place in the world within that general price range with the American dollar where you can live? I can walk to the beach in 8 minutes. I have a swimming pool I can swim in year-round out there with no pool heater, and it's always warm year-round. Okay? Where can you do that in the USA where it's affordable? And I don't have a threat of a hurricane hitting me here. There is a possibility of an earthquake, but I've never felt one here. I don't think they have tornadoes here. There have been getting worse waves coming into the beach area, though. It's gotten worse. The sea's rising. Storms are getting worse. And walls down, where I did stay in a condo when I first got here, there's some walls near their private walls at mansions, rich people, that have been damaged from the strong waves, okay? Not as bad as the hurricane was in Florida when I lived there, Hurricane Ian, but will it get worse? I don't know, okay? Some of the negatives. Okay, the weather as a whole to me is a positive. Oh, with the weather, 85 to 92 degrees where I live for a high, 70-ish for a low. If you go up to Boquete, up in the mountains up there, Volcan, Cherokee, it may get highs in the upper 70s, lows in the 50s, okay? If you live there, I see pictures of people that are wearing long sleeves, they're wearing sweatshirts, long pants. Here, I went out for New Year's Eve. I was wearing a short sleeve button-down shirt and a pair of shorts. That's what I wore. I'm wearing flip-flops right now. I wear flip-flops every day around my house. Okay, it's warm. Okay, but some of the cons. You do have a lot of chickens here. That might not be a con. I kind of like chickens. I like hearing roosters crow. Where I'm at right now, they crow in the morning. I have neighbors that have a rooster, and he might crow in the morning. That's okay. I had chickens and roosters and ducks and a pony and dogs and cats where I grew up at in Maryland, so I remember that. But we stayed in an Airbnb one time in Panama. I was in the town, and we woke up 2 o'clock in the morning, 3 o'clock in the morning, 4 o'clock in the morning to 2 different animals. One, roosters crowing at 2 o'clock in the morning, 3 o'clock in the morning. Sounded like it was right next to our ear because it was a house right next door. And also dogs barking. Our very first night there, dogs all around us, dogs barking. The first night was the worst night. Either we got used to it real quick or I think it got a little bit less as the week went on. Okay, but there were dogs everywhere. Stray dogs. There's stray dogs in the community town, man. At least I think they're stray. There are dogs out there. But for the most part, they're not aggressive dogs, for the most part. There are a lot of fireworks here, more so probably than in the U.S. in general. You will have fireworks on various holidays. You will have fireworks on New Year's Eve. You will have fireworks at random times throughout the year if it's warm. Okay. The other thing, this bothers me in a way. The other thing is child safety in vehicles. I don't know if there's a car seat law. If there is, it's not enforced. I believe there's a seatbelt law, but a lot of folks don't wear their seatbelts. Yesterday in particular, I saw several different SUVs. Yesterday was a holiday, January 1st. I walked on the street because the beach, we went on the beach, but it was high tide and it was packed. It was New Year's Day. I've never seen it this crowded. Okay, so this is my local beach. Okay, I've never seen it that crowded. Not that it's still less crowded in the U.S., but I don't like crowded beaches. All right. Plus, it was high tide. When it's high tide, there's less sand. All right. But what I saw a couple times yesterday was SUVs with small children standing up in the front seat, and 2 different times I saw kids 5-ish standing up with their head sticking out of the sunroof. I don't know about you, but if somebody hits them from behind, sorry for clapping, if they run into something in front of them, what's going to happen? All right? Sad. How do you change that? How do you change that? The other thing is the infrastructure here. All right? This is everywhere. Everywhere. You will see videos saying the water's fine in Panama. Personally, I don't drink the water from the public water system. Panama City, I might drink some, just a bit. Not outside of Panama City, I don't think. It all depends on where I was living at, I think. Where I live at here in Coronado, I'm not going to drink the water. I know people do, some people. I know locals do. Miss and I, we don't. We got one of those big gallon, like the big, I don't know, 5 gallons or bigger dispensers, hot water and cold water. And we get one of those water bottles that lasts us 2 to 3 days. It's $5 a pop. So every week I'm spending $15 on water, okay? I've seen the water bill here, and my landlord pays it for me. No wonder that she pays it, because the last bill was $5.68. It's like, wow. Maybe they need to increase the water bill and redo their water distribution system or something. Because, I mean, it doesn't look dirty, but it's not clean. I don't know how well it's been sanitized. I would not drink it. We do bathe in it. We do cook in it sometimes, not always. Depends on what if we're boiling water, yeah, we'll use the water just to be safe. Okay. What else we got there? Traffic. Panama has the Inter-American Highway. It runs from Costa Rica all the way down through Panama City, all the way down to the Darien. The Darien, most folks don't go to the Darien. Migrants from South America are the first people almost in the history of the Darien in the last 100-some years that en masses are now walking through the Darien. And when I was stationed here, the Darien was known to be a place where Colombian drug lords used to hang out and manufacture cocaine because it was tropical and they get the coca from Peru or Colombia, wherever it came from. And they would make cocaine there, and they'd have armed guards and hand grenades and machine guns and all that kind of stuff. So you avoided that area. Everyone avoided it. Locals avoided it. It's a big area. It's down there, it borders Colombia. It's jungle, and it has lots of water in there. So when the Army Corps of Engineers was developing that highway, going from the United States all the way down through Central America, it's 100% completed until you get to the Darien, and then it stops. Okay. But traffic, that's the main road. You do have some other highways now as you get closer to Panama City, but the traffic can be horrendous at times, okay? Where I live farther away, I'm in a gated community. It's not that bad. When I get out on the Inter-American Highway, normally, I'm an hour and a half north of Panama City or west of Panama City. Normally, it's not too bad. I mean, there's traffic, but it's not too bad. But if it's a weekend, on Friday evening, Saturday morning, traffic leaving Panama City is heavy. Sunday evening or a 3-day weekend, Monday evening, going back in. We saw videos last night, up till 8 o'clock at night, it's still bumper to bumper on the Inter-American Highway, people trying to get back to Panama City. Okay, so traffic's really bad. But when I look at the United States of America, I see infrastructure problems. Just like I mentioned water and sewer, I don't trust the sewer here. I think some sewers are okay. Lots of sewers aren't. My sewer here is okay. You're elsewhere in the country, you may not have a very good sewer system, okay? It varies. If you want one, make sure your rental or the house you buy has it before you rent it or buy it. But now when I look at the United States, I see better infrastructure, but I see a lot of problems in the United States. Flint, Michigan. All right. You've heard about that, right? Different bridges have collapsed. Buildings, Miami, Florida, a building collapsed. I know there's sewer problems. Where I lived in Shenandoah Valley, they were constantly digging up the street, fix a broken water line there, fix a broken water line there, fix one here. The street I lived on at times, one year in particular, had patchwork up and down, dotted, where they dug up like, I don't know, a 6 or 8 foot section to fix the water line. I talked to those guys before, and they said the whole water system's antiquated, it's old, and they can't afford to replace it all. So just one leak at a time. At least they're digging it up and they're patching the street properly, though, in the United States. Here, when they get potholes, they put loose gravel in there for the most part, and it's where if they do put patchwork asphalt, it's bumpy. The roads in Coronado, the main road coming in, it'll rattle you quite a bit. It'll shake your teeth almost. It's bumpy. It's not potholes per se, but if you go over to Gorgona, there's a lot of potholes. You are driving like that. It's just it's like the infrastructure. It needs to be fixed. Panamanian government has been known to put a lot of money into their pocket. Okay? It's not trickling down to fix the roads, the plumbing, the sewers, that sort of thing. Okay? But in the United States, you do have a great highway system. Right? The interstate highway system. You can basically drive Florida to Maine, across the country, in the middle, in the south, in the north, kind of, sort of. You can go into small towns. You don't have that in Panama, not the same way. All right? But the natural beauty here, crime is not bad. You got to be aware of people taking advantage of you, perhaps financially or something like that. Or you might get gringoed with the price. If you're not aware of it, you can negotiate at a market or someplace. You might get the gringo price. But if you think you're getting it or know what prices are, negotiate down. You can get it lower. They want the sale. All right, so they do have the gringo price. But Panama is definitely cheaper than the U.S. Both, and this is my question, I think I said it earlier, where can I live in the United States of America or elsewhere in the world where I don't have threat of hurricanes and tornadoes and flooding? Flooding's a big one. Where I can be on a beach in 10 minutes or less by walking. Where I'm not going to have traffic jams getting to the beach. Where the beach is not going to be congested normally. That's how it is here. Normally that beach, even yesterday, it wasn't congested. It was just more people than normal. Where can I get that elsewhere where I can afford it to live? Okay. I don't know. I've been around a lot. You tell me. Okay. You guys are smarter than me and you live in a lot of different places. You tell me where else I can live like that. Okay. Also in Panama, they use the American dollar. Okay. That helps quite a bit. If you're an American or a Canadian, it just helps. If you're from elsewhere in the world, you got to convert your money, I guess. Okay, and you live here. But Panama has a lot of pros. It does have some cons. It's tropical paradise, but you got to put up with some stuff also. But the Panamanian people as a whole are kinder, gentler than Americans as a whole. They're friendly. But sometimes, like, if you don't know them, they're not bubbly friendly. They're not that kind of friendly, but they're friendly, okay, if you get to know them. Yes, you could get jumped if you're in a rough part of town, more so in Panama City, but it's a safe community. It's a safe country by and large. I've heard about people complaining up in Boquete. They had a guy that was mentally ill. Walking across a bridge, I think at one point he touched a lady's breast when he was coming the other way. They don't really do anything. He's crazy. They kind of let him alone. Okay? In the U.S., he would probably get locked up somewhere if he did that. All right? If you need fire or police or a tow truck, it might be harder to get here than it is, say, in the U.S. Okay? It might take longer to get it than you would here in the U.S. Okay? So, but I encourage you, if you are thinking about Panama, come check it out. It's a beautiful country. I didn't mention like Bocas del Toro. There's islands, there's tropical islands. Somebody's beeping out there. No one normally beeps out there. Okay, but the natural beauty is just it's nice. Okay, I'm gonna wrap this up because we are at 25 minutes and this video is getting long and someone is beeping on my street. Doesn't mean it's my house, but they're beeping. I'm gonna check out what it is. All right, stay safe, everyone. Mazske is signing out.